You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lain. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lain, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And we are, I can't believe it, the gardens are waking up. It's only February. Everything's a month early, including my fruit trees. Fruit trees are starting to bud up real heavy. And I'm looking at the roots. So here's how I tell when spring is right on the corner. And I can tell because I've got a garden center and I'm looking at the roots of the plants. So I can pop the roots of fully rooted fruit tree, any kind of plant. And then I look at it, and when it starts to, the buds get heavy or big, plump, and the roots start growing. They happen at the same time. And so if I pull the roots out of the bucket, and I see white, brand new root hairs, I know, whoa, this thing is growing. It's going to town. And so they always start rooting before they leaf out, before they bloom. And the fruit trees are going crazy right now, all the varieties. I thought I'd take a moment, and this is only because it's top of mind. I just unloaded an entire semi of fruit trees. And so we've got hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds of them. I thought I'd give a quick explanation between dwarf, semi-dwarf, and standard or regular fruit trees, the ones that your grandparents used to grow, and then try to go into how old does a tree need to be before it actually blooms and sets fruit. So plants are very much like people. At a certain age, they need to be a certain age before they can start populating, setting fruit, getting the seed and going. So that for a tree, that is going to be on average starting. They have to be at least 5 years old to 7 to 8 years old before they're old enough or mature enough to actually fruit and set. They'll flower, but they won't set fruit until they need a certain age. And so that tends to be 5 to 7 years old. So all the trees that we sell here at Waters Garden Center, because we're niche-y, I'm trying to stay out of the big box stores way. I can't compete. I don't want to. It's not fun in that sandbox. It's more fun in my sandbox where I get to have bigger, more mature fruit trees that are old enough to actually set fruit like this year, like right now, like in the tree racks, they'll be setting fruit because we're selling trees that we've had them at the farm for, I'd say on average, 10 years for most of our fruit trees. Now they start at 5 years and they go up to the bigger sizes. They'll be more like 10 years old. And so we purposely, our customers that shop here at Waters Garden Center, they purposely want a more mature tree. They don't want to wait. I've had a nickel for every time I heard, I don't have forever to wait for this thing to fruit. I want it to fruit now. So they shop here. They're willing to pay 20 extra bucks and have a much older tree. The other one to watch too is pollinators. Are they right for this area or not? Are they right for this elevation or not? So here we have plants. We need so many chilling hours. So trees are programmed after they see so many hours of frost, of freezing temperature, they're triggered to bloom. And so a desert variety doesn't need very many hours before it just sets flowers and goes to town, because they want to, in Phoenix, they want to get their fruits to bloom early, produce early before the heat of summer. We don't want that. That's the last thing we want up here at altitude. We want trees that need more chilling. They need to go through more cold before the trigger goes off. Oh, I should bloom and go now. And so we want things to wait and bloom as late as possible into the spring season as we can. We don't want them to be tricked into blooming early and the frost comes and takes all of that fruit from you. So we're purposely bringing it in a selection that is made for here that blooms later than others. So not all apricots bloom at the same time. Some bloom later than others. Not all apples bloom at the same time. Some bloom later than others. We want those that bloom later. So watch for that. Do your homework. You don't want to commit to a tree. You spend $100 on it, and then 3, 4, 5, 8 years later, you're going, why doesn't this thing ever fruit? Because you picked the wrong one. And by then you've got years invested in this thing and $100. So I don't mind the money. It's the waste of time, and it didn't do what I wanted. I mean, I'll pay a little extra for myself just so I know it's going to produce for me. It's going to work. So you really want to do your homework on that one. And this is someplace where AI can hallucinate. Depending on the voices it's listening to, it may or may not give you the right choice. I know it's supposed to be super smart than all of us combined, but it's not yet. So do a little bit deeper dive, or come talk to us. We'll just hey, is this a good one? So the only thing that I request is don't call me while you're in Costco and saying, hey, well, which one should I pick? That actually just happens every once in a while. I do get offended, not very easily, but that one offends me. Get your butt over here and, on the radio, get your behind over here and do your own legwork. Don't call me on your phone. Buy it from a good, reputable, small family business. We sometimes there's a reason to pay a little extra because you get the advice and you know it's going to work. Now we get to semi-dwarf, dwarf, and standard size trees. What's the difference? So you've got, let's say, a honey crisp apple. That'll come in 3 sizes. Well, actually, that only comes in 2, semi-dwarf and standard size. Let's go a peach. So you've got an Alberta peach. You've got dwarf, semi-dwarf, and standard size peaches. And so a dwarfed variety, true genetically dwarfed fruit tree, is probably not going to get over head high. It's very small. In fact, usually you can keep them down to hip to chest high. So they're very rounded, very small, easy to take care of. They're almost like a topiary. It's like this beautiful statuary piece in the garden. They don't get very big. And so usually you're not planting that for production because it's smaller. The head on this thing, the crown or the branching structure is small. It can only hold maybe a bushel of peaches. That might be enough, but they're easy to grow. They grow in containers. They grow right by the patio. They grow in the smallest of places, and they produce regular size fruit. They all produce the same size peach, but the size of the tree changes. So call a dwarf will only get, let's say, 6 foot at most. I'd say more like 5 foot tall. Then you've got semi-dwarf. Now, a semi-dwarf, no matter what size, what variety it is, what we've done is we've grafted a regular Macintosh apple, a Fuji apple, a Stella peach. We've grafted a standard size variety of onto a smaller root structure. So the way we're dwarfing this is we're grafting onto a less aggressive root. So the roots stay smaller and it controls how big that tree gets. The standard semi-dwarf tree is going to get 20 to 30% smaller than its standard cousin. So it's just a step down. So it's a full-on tree. It can provide shade. It's going to get some size, but it doesn't get so big that you can't get to the top of the tree and prune it and pick the fruit and maintain it. You can't cover it. Semi-dwarf is just easier to take care of. It's just a step down. If you want a standard regular tree, that's going to be what your grandparents grew. They didn't have all these choices like we do. We have a luxury of this. And so those trees are going to be standard size. So a peach tree on average grows about 20 feet tall. At most peaches, they're on the smaller size of fruit trees, whereas an apple or a pear, they're going to get on average 30 feet tall. So they're much bigger. I mean, that's when a standard tree, it's going to be hard to get on a ladder and get a fruit picker and get up there to pick all those fruits at maturity. And so for a pitted fruits, apricots, nectarines, peaches, cherries, plums, they're generally about, call them 20 feet. Cherries maybe a little bit bigger, but call it 20 feet. Then semi-dwarf is going to be about 20%. So about mid-teens. And then a dwarf is going to be no more than 6. So now you're an expert on semi-dwarf, dwarf, and standard size fruit trees. Pick the one that's right for you. They're all going to produce the same size fruit. So an apple is they're all going to be the same size Fuji apples, but the size of the tree will vary. So look at that. And it'll say on the tag, semi-dwarf. Or if it just has a regular name, that's a standard size. Or if it says genetic or dwarfed peach, that's what it'll say it accordingly. Water's garden companion plants of February are Calgary carpet juniper, lily of the valley, pinyon pines, and peony.
Your grandmother would fall in love with these larger peony with so many colors to choose from.
There's nothing like the enormous flowers to add stunning pops of color.
Endearing springtime blooms are more than fragrant with luscious double flowers.
Shop the most perennial peonies in Prescott by store or online at watersgardencenter.com. For a more fruitful garden, increase success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit watersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Waters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.